a6, and if bishop takes c6, I like the novelty b takes c6. Previously, d takes c6 was played, but I think that b takes c6 is fine. And the pawn on e5 is taboo. For example, knight takes e5, rook e8, and you'll win the e4 pawn, because if knight d3, you play c4, and then you win the e4 pawn. So you can see that e5 is not a problem. So d3, and now just a simple move d6, and the pawn structure for black is extremely solid. So I don't think he has any major problems here. And he could eventually follow up with eventually playing f5, like knight e8 to c7 to e6, and then f5. Anyways, going back a few moves, I don't think that any of this is a problem. So let's see, rook e1, castle, and d4 now. And here I'm suggesting d5, which has been played by Kramnik and many other players. And if take, as in, this is from Anand Kramnik, 1994. If queen takes d5 and c4, here in this position, the d5 pawn becomes weak rather quickly. Anand played knight a3, and after a6 and b5, in this position, after winning the d5 pawn, black had absolutely no problems. So I'll just go back and say that that e5 appears to be the main move here, and black has to play very dynamically. So knight e4, and if knight bd2, take, bishop f5 is one line, but queen b6 is another line. And now bishop takes c6, queen takes c6. And I think black's doing very well here. For example, if knight takes e4 and you try to surround the e4 pawn, like take d5, you can just play queen c4. And if b3, then queen c3, hitting the a1 rook and the knight on f3. So it appears that black is probably just better here. Queen d4 is the only move, and black's just better, it appears. So anyways, white has to, in some of these lines, white even has to play precisely. Like the main move here for white after knight e4 is bishop takes c6, b takes c6, and now knight bd2. But again, I think take, and bishop f5. And I think black's doing very well here by pressuring the center. In a lot of lines, he's just playing f6. For example, knight f1, f6. And if I go back to knight h4, black has an excellent pawn sacrifice with the line bishop e6. And I think Yakovenko played this position recently against Alexeyev, and in that line, after c5 at some point, black equalized fairly quickly. But if you take the pawn after knight takes e4, take, and c5, now in this position, I think that black's doing very well. For example, if knight f3, you can play bishop d5 now. And after b3, I just like queen d5. And it appears that almost definitely one of the pawns will fall, and black may even be better right away. So I'll go back to what looks like the main line, which is e5. Knight d5, d4, take, castle, knight c3. And I think that black is currently equalizing after knight takes c3, but I prefer the line knight c7. And first I'll look at the sidelines. So one of the sidelines here is bishop a4. But after bishop a4, I think the simplest is just to play d6. E takes d6, queen takes d6, And if you play d5, then simply knight e5, and bishop g4 is coming, so h3. And it's even possible to play this position very directly by trying to win a pawn. And it's not clear if White has full compensation. Maybe he does, but it really is not so clear after take. And if you take on c3 here, if you take with the queen, then knight takes d5 with tempo. But if pawn takes and queen takes, after queen a5, bishop e6, it's quite possible that that White could be in some trouble, proving he has compensation. So I can go back some moves, and so bishop a4 is just one sideline, and bishop takes c6 is not really a serious line after d takes c6. And I've seen a game with b6 and bishop b7 played as one of the plans here. But there are many possible ideas, and I don't think that this structure is difficult at all to play for black. So anyways, there was also a line with bishop g5, take, a6. h6 is also interesting, but a6 is interesting. For example, if knight c3, you can just play d6. d6 is the basic idea. Take, and knight e5. And Smirin has played many positions like this, and he played white against Abasov. But I think after just take and h6, I think black has an excellent position. For example, if bishop f4, then queen b4. And you can't really play rook ab1 because of bishop f5. So again, it becomes very awkward to defend the white position already. And there was another interesting move with knight d6 here, exploiting the pin on the g5 to d8 diagonal. But after h6, bishop h4, of course, there were some games with g5, take, knight takes g5, and White was actually able to win a couple of games in this line, so it may actually be risky, but the simplest is just to play queen c7, and after knight takes c8, rook takes c8. Again, the bishop is just suddenly very awkward on h4, and not really doing anything useful to defend the center. For example, the d4 pawn. So let's say rook e1. Now you can just play d5, and later you can just play queen b6, and it's not so easy to defend the center. So I think that in all these lines, black is having no problems whatsoever. And so the only two other lines here are bishop f4 and rook e1. After bishop f4, let's see again, take, a6. And now once again we're dealing with d6. Take, and now the most dynamic way to play the position is bishop g4. You can also play e takes d6, but bishop g4 seems to be the most dynamic. And now if